What's up everybody, my name's George and this is another video to show you the behind the music to the debut album of World Bazaar called Awareness Aligned. I'm the head producer on this album. In this video, I'm gonna show you the plugins that we use to get the overall just kind of tonality of the vocals, and then showing you meloydyne, a software by a company named Ceremony, and it is some of the deepest science in the pitch correction field that I've seen applied inside of a software. And just gonna kind of show you the learning curves that we went through, a little compare and contrast of the use of meloydyne to pitch correct the 4 vocals that are in unison with one another, how we kind of got that chorus effect into the vocals of the album, and overall the effect plugins that we use to get the tone. So stick around and check it out, the behind the scenes of the tools that we use. And we hope this sparks some interest for you to try this out in your own projects. But bottom line, guys, we wanted to share to build some interest into you listening to the album. We worked really hard on it and we're proud. And all we can hope for now is to get as many eardrums on it as possible. So I hope this makes you curious and you go take a listen to the work that we did for the World Bazaar Awareness Aligned album. All right, so let's pop the hood on a tune here and see what it's all about. All right, to start things off, I'm gonna show you the original project that Ryan had made when he was first learning how to record at home. And he was able to capture his vocals inside of Logic Pro. And here's this original project where eventually all of the music ended up inside of my main host, Ableton Live. It started here. Ryan had also invested into meloydyne, and that is what the first steps that needed to happen to get the vocals to sound right is we need to get them to be in sync with one another. Ryan recorded himself singing the same part 4 times so that they would play in unison and create a natural chorus effect. Ryan doesn't claim to fame as being a great singer, even though it comes out fantastic on the album. He's primarily a musician with playing the guitar, the bass, and the drums. The 4 tracks, as you might imagine, were not in perfect unison. For instance, the warble of the ah was not always aligned with one another, and it made it kind of sound not as pleasant as what the goal was. Or the ending of the syllables of a particular phrase would not align with the 4 tracks saying the same thing in unison, and it created a like a stuttery tripping effect, and there wasn't that smooth altogether sound that we were going for.
Say what you want, but just say what you mean. Worry is poison from somewhere, nowhere.
And then, of course, there's pitch correction where not everything was necessarily in tune. And this is one of the benefits of meloydyne over some of the others, is the way that you're able to individually affect the notes and the depth of the vibrato of a note, like the ah, being able to actually take that and smooth it out or align it by timing of stretching these notes that someone's singing to be able to match them accurately. A lot of things kind of hard tune and almost synthesize the vocals. meloydyne prides itself on doing it so naturally that it's subliminal and almost can't be told that pitch correction was used on it, at least if you're doing it right.
Say what you want, but just say what you mean. Say what you want, but just say what you mean. Worry is poison from somewhere, nowhere. Worry is poison from somewhere, nowhere.
So over the course of time, we were getting better and better at using meloydyne and recognizing how to use the timing and the pitch drift effect to be able to get smoother, cleaner vocals, where at first we were primarily just getting it to perfectly center and align the notes of what was sung so that the notes were never off key. meloydyne will show where the notes were a little bit half off, a little bit flat, or a little bit sharp, or whatever. And when you have 4 vocals lined together, it's critical for it not to sound bad, for everything to be pretty centered with the notes there. If the perfect was singing a perfect pitch, then that's a mathematical harmonic number. First steps is we usually align the pitch of all the notes, and then we'd have to filter through, and we would start with 1. You can see here that all 4 tracks are recorded, and you can split it and look at all 4 tracks simultaneously. We would start with one of the audio tracks, and we would listen through very carefully and make sure that first we edited any of the imperfections of melodyne's automatic assumption of what its pitch is. So we'd go through and be like, it thought that that whole phrase was one note, but in actuality it's as you sing this one line. And so you have to manually make cuts and have it split the notes appropriately and align the pitch to those correct notes. So we go through the whole thing and scrub it and get all of the phrasing of the syllables and everything on the correct notes. Now that that's done and we have that all aligned, then we would go to the next track, the second vocal, and we would just gray out the first one, and you're able to quickly just visually make sure that all the blobs match the one that you just scrub through. You can quickly just visually make the chops so that the notes all match the appropriate locations. Once you have all 4 vocals now actually edited to make sure that they're on the correct notes and then 100% aligned so that they're singing those notes particularly, then it's time just to affect the vibratos of the notes and the ending of the syllables, or the hit of the syllables. Sometimes a phrasing is a little faster or a little longer, especially on those long sustained notes, and the t and s of vocals can often make that type sound as they end, and it sounds unnatural and not as good as it should.
Feel right.
You can see here where the vibrato, it has these roller coaster dives, and you can basically use the timing tool to adjust the length of a note being spoken or sang so that the vibrato that you can see here, or the pitch drift, is pretty much aligned with one another. You know, sound waves are like this, and you can see these sound wave roller coasters. Some of them be more extreme than others. Whenever we hear these moments, you can often visually see the disalignment it has, and you're able to adjust the timing of the blobs so that they line up right on top of each other. And as soon as it works, not only do you visually see it, but you hear it, and you start to build such a confidence of hearing it do what it's supposed to as you visually create the process, that you can almost visually go through, and you start with just 1 and 2 blobs. It gets a little crazy if you add too much at once, but we would do 1 and 2. You know, get 1 perfect on the alignment, align everything up in 2, and then we would go through and find any imperfections visually, and I could just start to edit the alignment and get those vibratos, those pitch drifts right on top of each other until they were visually perfect, and it would be auditorially perfect, and you almost wouldn't have to even reference too much, as you could tell that if it looked right, it would gonna sound right. The only time you really had to like play back and listen to a particular moment is when it visually was being troublesome, and you could tell that there was kind of an issue, and you have to, in those moments where you would scrub back the audio and try to see why it's not visually aligning, you might hear the ha-ha, like the note change. You may have missed it in your scrub through initially, and you have to make a little edit there and then fix it accordingly. But you'll definitely feel this like puzzle piece feeling of like locks going together, like a key in a lock. You can feel those little mechanisms inside unlock as things go appropriately and sync up the way you're trying to make it work with the tools. It could be, there's definitely some clunkiness to melodyne that we found as far as the way that the software operates, but the effectiveness of what it does is really unparalleled. Couldn't complain, but only so much, because the power of the software. It is amazing, and it's beautiful what it can do. As you can hear here, it really made the album. And from there, guys, we just took it into Ableton, and we tried several things, but we ended up just kind of liking what came together with using the Isotope Nectar Vocal Suite plugin. And particularly, I like to go to this Sizzling Rock Lead preset and just let it do the work. You can see here, if we go into the hood, it has a compressor, limiter, de-esser, reverb, dynamics, saturation, and I think that's probably one of the bigger things that's going on here as far as the tonality that it's giving. But it kind of controls the vocal, gives it a little bit of a boost, and it's definitely a quick and dirty and easy. I'm not claiming to be a genius when it comes to how to manipulate these settings down to the nitty-gritty. Definitely know what all these elements are doing as far as conceptually, but tuning these presets in to be what it gives me when I push this button is something that I don't try to reinvent the wheel on. So this sizzling rock lead, it's doing a great job. We throw on a LA2A, which might be redundant after the ones that are going on inside of Isotope, but this just gives it a little bit more beef and controlled sound. It's a nice plug-in in and of itself by Universal Audio. There's a characteristic to be gained just by having the plug-in on the track, even if you're not heavily using the plug-in itself.
Prove my facts have gathered. My facts have gathered.
So a little bit of LA2A there, LA3A, but then it's really about the sends to the returns on this. I'm gonna use the Sound Toys Echo Boy to get some nice vocal delay, kind of a reverby delay sound. We run a little bit of it into the same drum room, just to put it into that same space, create that psychology of sound that it's in the same space as the drums. So we send a little bit into the drum room. We send a little bit into this classic reverb EMT 140 just to get that nice tone that it offers. And then we give it a little bit of that decapitator to give it some boost. And you can hear what it's like on and off.
Few things they matter, few and seek understanding. It's not crystal clear.
It all comes together to give a nice, powerful, easily mixable, reverb delayed vocal. So these are the elements that kind of create where this thing sits in the mix, is what we like of how it sounds, and using a little bit more decapitator here, or maybe giving a little bit of more echo. Once all these elements are applied, it's pretty well in control, and it's really just volume from there that we need to adjust to find that sweet spot in the mix. And I will tell you that at the very end of the project, we probably did 3 or 4 many-hour sessions where we'd listen to the entire album and make notes in the car. And you know, some of the final steps that Ryan and I did were to always tweak the vocals just a little bit more, because we would always kind of just put them at an even balance with everything in the mix. And we knew that it was more commercially friendly, or by the feedback of others, that they always would want a little bit more vocals. If you're gonna have songs with good lyrics and good singing, and people wanna, you know, they hear that and wanna sing that back, and there's a commercial kind of expectation of boosting those vocals to a certain spot. And that was definitely some of those last tweaks of like 0.25, 0.5 decibels louder on the vocals to give more of a presence that made them sit on top. So it's, you know, be interesting to see if you notice or reflect on the level of the vocals in the mix. Whenever you focus on an element in a mix, you're always like listening for it to shine in every part of the song. And there's like a give and take, and a kind of a psychology. You have to have an inner dialogue about what stands out in the mix, and you know, how much for something to shine. If you're a bass head, it usually comes through when you're mixing where you want to crank the bass, or you want to push that kick just a little bit more than maybe you should. You know, if you're a drummer, maybe you want to hear the cymbals more than other people would. So it's funny to experience those things, and it's good to have other people you're working with when mixing, so that you can have more opinions to help guide a overall best presentation for all the listeners that would be listening to the album. Okay, so that's pretty much the gist, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and seeing a little bit under the hood there, how we got the sound we did. Hope it makes you curious to want to go listen to the album again or some more. And we definitely appreciate all the support and love. So thank you so much, and we will see you here soon. Cheers.